Welcome to Wombmates, a podcast where we talk openly and honestly about the emotional realities of motherhood. We are your hosts, twin sisters Lily
and Lela.
I am very excited about this episode today. It is all about the Enneagram, which we are huge fans of.
I thought you were going to say I'm very annoyed because I am very annoyed because we just recorded 30 minutes and the sound didn't work. So
all right, guess we're
doing it again.
So guess we have to do all over.
It's
okay.
fine.
I'm trying to put on a happy face.
Welcome to Wombmates.
It's fine. Technical things.
We enjoy it.
It's good.
So we can do it again.
Okay. Yeah. Enneagram. Please remind me how we have even came across this because you told me about it in college. I
really don't remember how
it's very mysterious.
The Enneagram is a very mysterious
Why
thing,
is it
but
so
I
mysterious?
do. Like I know in high school we discovered Myers-Briggs.
Yep.
And I was obsessed with that. And then just a personality type girly. And so somehow I came across the Enneagram in college and I was reading this book about it. And I forget what it's called, but I think it's by the Don Rizzo. Who's the Enneagram guy?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Maybe not. There's an older book.
Enneagram guy. I'm gonna look up.
I have a few books, so it probably a lot of things are gonna pop up. But anyways, it was an older one, I think. So it probably wasn't him. But
I see it. The Wisdom of the Enneagram by Don Richard Riso and Russ Hudson. I could see why you were saying lots of R things.
I did read, and then there's Richard Rohr, who also.
Oh, I love him. And Beatrice Chestnut.
Mm-hmm.
She did the complete Enneagram, and our favorite, Ian Morgan Cron. We are big fangirlies of him.
Yes.
He has a typology podcast called Typology. And
yes.
He wrote a book called The Road Back to You with Suzanne Stabile. And that is a great introduction to the Enneagram if you want to learn more about it. It's a great book.
Yeah. But what I was saying...
Oh, sorry.
The book I was reading was older, and there's a section that sticks in my mind about like the origins of the Enneagram and how like nobody knows where it came from. It's just like this mysterious... It's like they notice these patterns and symbols and stuff that have originated or morphed into what it is today, the Enneagram. But it is not a scientifically validated test or system, but it has really impacted people, including us. I don't think there's been enough research on it, but I really, from what I've seen and heard and everyone that I've heard on podcasts and talked to about the Enneagram, it's really been helpful.
It was very helpful, and it's
tool.
super in depth. Like there's a lot of levels and layers, so it's not surface level at all. It can be if you don't research it. As our hero Ian Morgan Cron says, it does not put you in a box. It tells you what box you're in, so you can get out of it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people do use personality tests to put them in a box because that's kind of how they're designed. But this one tells you just your unconscious patterns, your motivations, your fears, your desires, and things that you don't even think you're doing because it just feels so normal. Mm-hmm. And when you read about it, you're like, I do that. I didn't even know I did that. Do other people not do this? So it is very illuminating.
It brings awareness to things that you might not have realized why it's happening, and I think that's how it can get you out of the box. But of course, just like anything, you can use it to help you or to hurt you. And I think if you use it as an excuse or putting you in a box, like, I'm just a 5, so that's why I do that. I don't think that's the best way to use the Enneagram or any personality test. I think it's more meant to be like something that helps you bring awareness so that you can integrate all types. That's the goal. Reach enlightenment.
Because there's 9 types. You do have all of different aspects of types in you, but there is usually just 1 or 2 that stick out the most, sometimes 3. But my husband, who hates personality tests, he's like, I'm not going to be put in a box, took this several years ago, and he actually was blown away. He was like, that is me. This is crazy. So that's valid right there because
it can change.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But also, sorry, I guess we should overview what it is.
Yes, let's talk about what the Enneagram even is. What the heck is it?
If you look it up, it looks satanic, people say. And so that's why people are like, get this thing away from me. But it's like a circle, and you have all the 9 types in the circle, and there's like lines between each types telling you where you go in stress and growth. But each type has core motivations and core fears and desires. Speaking of witchcraft and whatever, you were talking in the recording that got destroyed and ruined about how it's very popular in the South, which I didn't even realize that until you said that. That is so true.
It's like
Everyone that
in Nashville and like these southern places, and it's like huge in the church too. So that I think there's a correlation.
So it's interesting that people who are skeptical about it or love it are like usually Christians. I feel like we use it a lot in our our college ministry I was a part of growing up. We had like an Enneagram expert come and we all took the test. It was really cool. Fancy. I still think about that. But it's funny because it's very popular in that area, but also there's very religious people that are put off by it because it looks very
at first
witchcrafty.
Impression. It is kind of.
So I never put that together that it was like popular in the South. It's like a whole trend thing in the South the past couple decades, which interesting.
It is interesting. So what it is a 9. There's 9 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and each one, like Lily was saying, has desire, a motivation, all that. The idea is you have each of the types in you, and you try to balance. I guess the goal in my mind is like balance all the types together. So you're not like you tend towards certain ones, but that's the goal is to not. That's not your whole personality. You're everything. We are everything. So anyway, we're just going to go through each type and talk about how it relates. We'll just talk about the type in general and also how it relates to parenting and matrescence and all of that good stuff. And I think that it can be really helpful for parenting, and because when you go through any major life change or anything difficult, it can bring up patterns easier. It can bring up old coping habits or things that
and also
might not
your
be as
coping
helpful.
mechanisms that you are so used to your whole, 2 or 3 decades of life before you have kids will completely not work when you have kids.
Yeah.
And I think that the Enneagram can help with that because it kind of tells you what your unconscious coping mechanisms are and your patterns. Mm-hmm. And parenting really reveals some patterns that you have. Yes. And the Enneagram can help you figure out what those are and how you can heal from them and grow. So
another thing the Enneagram tells you is
parenthood.
Like these things are here for a reason. Like they are what you used to get you through life, and that was helpful at that time, but they're not always going to be helpful. So now it's like, how are you using that in ways, those strategies that maybe aren't working for you anymore?
Yeah. And then what survival strategies are you using now as a parent that can help you reveal that? So, anything else about the Enneagram before we're going to go through each of the 9 types?
Let's do it.
Okay, type 1. Type 1 is called the Reformer. These people love justice. Oh, we should talk about like a famous character or person with each one
while
because
you're talking,
it'll help people kind of get a picture. But the one I could think of is Atticus Finch. Very healthy one. He is all about that justice. He just wants the system to work right. So their core motivation is to be good, responsible, ethical, and to do the right thing. Their basic fear is being bad, irresponsible, corrupt, selfish, or failing morally. Their basic desires have integrity, goodness, and self-control.
Leslie Knope.
Leslie Knope is a 1.
Mary Poppins. Hermione Granger.
Oh, Mary Poppins. My daughter loves Mary Poppins right now. We're going to do that for Halloween, I think.
Oh, that's cute.
Did I not tell you that?
No, I don't think so.
I think she's going to be Jane, and then I'm going to be Mary Poppins, and then my husband is going to be Bert. Isn't that adorable?
So cute.
We just don't have a Michael. He's gone.
Michael's staying at home.
Yeah. That's his name, right? Jane and Michael.
Oh,
yeah.
but that's
Jane.
what my little guy can be.
I was just thinking that. Can we steal your baby and he can be Michael?
Wait, he's going to be born by...
Yeah, he's going to be 1 month old.
He's going to be
1.5 months.
Baby when we have Halloween. Okay, continue.
You got to think about newborn outfits. Okay.
I will.
Don't
worry.
Okay, type 1 strengths as a parent and in general, But in the parenting lens, they're very dependable for their kids, and they're very consistent with routines, with discipline, and they're very thoughtful and intentional. They create stability and structure. They value responsibility and emotional responsibility. They model accountability and repair, and they're deeply committed to raising kind humans.
Because they have a very strong sense of what's right and wrong and justice.
Yeah.
And which the flip side of that can be that they can tend to think in absolutes or like black and white patterns a lot. Like this is right or wrong, good or bad. So that's just something to watch out for, because it can be a strength, but it also can be hard to see that things can be gray sometimes, and there's not always right or wrong or good and bad. Sometimes things just are.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that can help ones is to see the gray area in things sometimes.
Especially as parenting, because parenting is not a straight line. It's not like you do this and you get this outcome. Like it's very messy and unpredictable, chaotic.
Yep. So talking about ones, I tested as a one before. Whenever we took the test in college, which is usually the time your Enneagram type is the most pronounced, is in your 20s, right? Right, Mrs. Therapist, is that correct?
That's what Ian Morgan Cron says.
Just going off Ian Morgan Cron.
He's the real expert.
I got so many different types. I think I took the test like 6 or 7 times because I kept getting different ones until as we say, you should probably just read about them and figure it out for yourself. You should take the test. But you should read about each type. Read The Road Back to You, read an Enneagram book, and you'll figure it out, because it's probably the type you don't want to be. It sounds ouchy.
One that feels uncomfortable is probably your type. I always suggest taking the test and then taking your top 3 results and reading in depth about those 3 and seeing which ones resonate the most with you.
So I got a 1. The 1 is like my second. We're both 4s. The 1 is my second highest percentage. I relate to this a lot, especially as a parent. I feel like my 1 came out a lot. I do see it like black and white thinking. If I mess up something, I'm like, I failed at this specific area. So those are some pitfalls and challenge areas that ones can have.
And we will talk about this later, but 4s, you're 4, but in growth, 4s go to 1s. So there's a connection between 4s and 1s in some
And in stress,
aspect.
1s go to 4s. To the low end of 4s. Okay, so we can talk about some pitfalls and challenge areas for 1s. Now I'm going to give you some tough love, you 1s. Because speaking from experience, I know that I do all these things too. They're very perfectionistic. They're very rigid. They have difficulty relaxing. They overcorrect themselves or their children. They have guilt around mistakes and resentment from carrying too much responsibility. And sometimes they can turn parenting into a constant self-improvement project instead of just living in the moment and being there and present, having fun with your kids. They can tend to, especially when they're stressed, feel like very rigid in what they're doing. And they have anger issues if you're unhealthy. I mean, all ones kind of have like a hidden, not hidden anger. It's just like, what is that called? The centers of intelligence.
Yeah. So
our head, heart, and gut.
And head equates to fear. Heart equates to shame, and gut equates to anger. So
so that's your subconscious emotion that drives your behavior. So ones they're in the gut triad, which means their subconscious emotion that drives their behavior is anger. They can get very angry at people that don't meet their standards, or they feel that they're not being fair, or
and angry at themselves for not meeting their own standards. They just have certain standards that they think are right.
They control the environment to maintain harmony, correct the wrongdoings. If you're an unhealthy 1, that's what that can look like. You're very rigid. You don't put up with nonsense ever. And
it's harder to put up with nonsense as a 1.
Harder to put up with nonsense. But I feel deeply for 1s, because being a mom as a 1 or a dad is, I think that brought that out in me, more of my 1 side, and it's been very difficult. And I think that if you are a 1 and you have all these traits, it's so hard to not feel that you're constantly guilty or criticizing yourself or thinking that you need to do something better, especially in our modern parenting culture, because there's so much information. There's all these invisible expectations. there's all this pressure to do the right thing and to parent correctly. So I feel for him as parents. It's difficult out there.
And I think it's important to note that each type has levels of health. So like,
yes.
And it can fluctuate depending on where you're at in life. Like you can be an unhealthy one at some point. You can be a very healthy one. It's easier to be in an unhealthy state if you're under stress and if you're under like these big life transitions. So like I'm just thinking about entering parenthood and being a 1. All those things can come out very strongly. The perfectionism, the negative self-talk, the anger, resentment, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Could expose itself in the trenches.
So what motherhood threatens in 1s is their sense of control and competence. It shakes their world to become moms or dads because kids are unpredictable, messy, emotional, irrational, chaotic. And I think also as a 1, it can be satisfying to create routines and systems because kids are, in some ways, are predictable. For me anyways, I'm speaking from experience through just like my 1 lens of like, I love having routine. I love seeing Romy, like she knows what to do next when it's bedtime. Just like, I did that. I created that system. So I think it can be satisfying
and
too.
Children
in that way.
need structure, so that could be a really
so that's something that 1s are really
strength.
good at. Their kids will probably just feel very safe around them because they know what to expect and they are very consistent in what they say. They will fight for their kids if they feel like there's an injustice. They're very good at being consistent. I don't know, that's the only word that I keep thinking of.
That's so true. I didn't think about it that way. Like that kids probably feel very safe around 1 parents.
As long as they're a healthy 1.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ian Morgan Cron, I was just listening to Typology podcast this morning on my run. I'm trying to start running again.
Well,
but he was talking about Atticus Finch being a 1 and how he wished that he was his dad. It's like, oh, yes, he's just a very healthy 1. He's just fighting for what's right.
He'll stand up for you.
Yeah.
The little guy.
Stand up for the little guy. They're very powerful and they can really move things along. And
yeah. Do you think that 1s are more attracted to social justice things?
Probably.
Like movements and
that's a good question.
Change.
I would think so. I think
immediately
I know all types, depending on who you are, have that tendency, but I immediately think of 1s and 8s.
8s was really what came to my mind too.
Because 8s are also in the anger triad. I think that injustice makes the gut triad people angry. Yeah. And it activates their sense. Because it is their subconscious emotion that drives their actions. So
okay, let's talk about, so remember how I was saying that each type goes to a type in stress and it goes to a type in growth. So let's talk about what the 1s do. In stress, 1s go to type 4. So they get emotionally overwhelmed, resentful, self-critical, or might get into this mode of like nobody understands like how much effort I'm putting in. Nobody sees like how hard I'm trying. And that can lead to resentment. So when a type goes to stress, they go to that type on the unhealthy. So remember we said there's different levels of health. So they go to the unhealthy version of a 4.
Which also unhealthy 4s are, hi cat.
Hi kitty. Ah, no! Don't mess up.
Unhealthy 4s. Okay, you can lay here if you want.
She chose you over me. That's cute.
Why?
No.
I'm kind of scared of this cat, but it's okay.
She actually has only attacked me 1 time since we've moved into this house. I think it's the environment. She's just so much happier.
I'm so glad. Okay, that makes me feel better. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, also type 4s, when they are unhealthy, are self-absorbed. So I think 1s can become that way, just thinking they're feeling sorry for themselves. And
yeah. Like I do all this around here, or I'm not doing good enough, or I'm not doing enough, and thinking about, that kind of thing.
I do think that in relationships, a lot of the times, there is one person that kind of handles the load. Usually it's the woman. And as a 1 woman and as a mom, that just is a lot. But I also want to say, I think a lot of us put too much pressure on ourselves and start resenting the other person for things that you haven't expressed. So you have to express.
Yes. Sorry, I
what you
didn't mean to interrupt
need.
you. Because I think ones do have this, like, they think that because, which is why it's good to know the Enneagram, because you can know your patterns. Like, ones tend to be like, this is how it is. Like, people just should, like, know
Yeah.
that this is the right way to do things and that this is the
Why
right.
do I have to
But
why do I have
not
to explain all this?
not everyone thinks that way. Like, that's
Yeah.
why the Enneagram's so powerful, because you're like, oh, I feel like that, but you don't even think about that. Like, that's not even on
Yeah.
your radar. But ones are very like, this should be common knowledge.
This is a
that
very
this is
cliche
how-
example, but like loading the dishwasher.
Yeah.
If a one has a specific way of loading the dishwasher and then someone in their family loads it wrong, they get angry because they're like, well, how do they not know? How do they not know this is the right way to load the dishwasher? Why do I have to explain this to the other person who might be, I don't know, a 7 or a 9? They're just like,
Whatever.
it's getting done. Why does it
Mhm.
matter where it is? To them, that's a valid concern. To the one, that's a valid concern. So it's not. Yeah, you're right. That's a great way why the Enneagram is so helpful, because you can see other people's perspectives on things. It's not.
Mhm.
It opens your mind and be more empathetic and compassionate towards other people, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, so in growth,
And growth, ones go to a healthy 7. So they become more playful, flexible, joyful, spontaneous. They're able to enjoy motherhood instead of managing it. They just might feel more like they can just enjoy it and have fun and not feel like it has to be such
be more
a
present.
rigid, like you were saying, a project that you're doing. Like they can loosen up a little bit. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of the work with a 1 is to be more
Carefree.
like, carefree. Yeah. And just
Relax without feeling guilty.
play.
Which is hard. Play.
Do fun
yes.
things. Do
Play
things just
is
because they're
healthy
fun.
for ones. I would assign this homework to a 1 right now. Go play on a playground with your kid, or send your kid to someone else and go have a nice, relaxing, playful day.
Yeah, do what your version of fun is.
Yeah,
Which
whatever
should not include cleaning the house, even if that's fun. But
even if that's fun for you.
I guess, I don't know. Do something just because it's fun, not because it's productive.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Okay, let's talk about wings. So each type has 2 wings. It's on either side, the number on either side. So a type 1 wing would be a 9 or a 2, which you have both wings in you. Just one of them is usually more prominent. I feel like even wings can change based on and what type of...
You can kind of fluctuate. It's kind of like the same as Enneagram. Like you leaned more towards one, but you can kind of go back and forth.
Do you think your type can change? That's a whole other discussion. But anyways.
That's a debate in the Enneagram world.
Yeah. Because I think your wings can probably change, but I don't know if your type can change. I feel like your type is pretty set based on how you grow up.
Yeah.
And your personality. Anyways, we will talk about that later. Or in another episode. Okay, so 1 wing 9, if you lean towards a 9, this is called the idealist. They usually have a more calm exterior than a 1 wing 2. They are more inward focused, and they have a quieter sense of perfectionism. They're not as outward with their expressions and their emotions. They, from the outside, seem more composed, but they can be very overwhelmed internally, but not as much outward overwhelm than a 1 wing 2. So 1 wing 2 is called the advocate. They're kind of a nurturing perfectionist. They have more of a nurturing personality. They're more outward focused. They have a lot of pressure to be a good mom or a good dad, like what that looks like in our society. They tend to overhelp even when someone doesn't need or want them to.
Yeah, which can then lead to a resentment.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I've done so much for you. What are you doing for me?
Healing and growth for a 1. I assigned you your homework. You guys got to go play. Remember that repair matters more than perfection. I think that we talked about this. Yes, we did. The repair thing, where if you get angry, that's going to happen. You're not going to be perfect. And you just apologize. And you just accept that that happened and that
it doesn't mean anything about you.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that you're failing or that your kid is going to be messed up. It's just what happens. Yeah. So if you if something terrible happens, like you lose your temper and throw something and get angry and scare your kid, which is awful, that might happen. But if you talk to them and you sit down with them and say, I did not handle that feeling right, I'm sorry that I scared you. That will not happen again. And just make sure your kid knows that and move on. And that's true with
Yeah.
any person, any parent.
Yes.
So don't dwell on it and you just have to give yourself grace. And children don't need flawless parents. I just wrote about this for our Substack. Our monthly Substack post I wrote about good enough parenting, which is probably good for ones to read. It's about not trying to strive to be perfect, but to just be present. And yeah, you should read it.
Especially if you're one.
Yeah. And resting is not a moral failure. You need to have rest.
Yes. So rest and play, that's your homework. And also add this to your homework. Here's a little reflection question for you. What if being good enough is actually what allows your child to feel safe being human too? By good enough, not perfect, but what if that is actually what your child needs to see? And to learn how to be a regulated, healthy human. Think about that. Okay. Riddle me this. Okay. I'll do type 2 since you did type 1.
Yes, please.
We can
I'm out of
trade
breath.
off.
I just searched. I was trying not to laugh as you were giving homework, but I just searched famous type 2s, and it just came up a list of famous people with type 2 diabetes. This is not what I'm looking
need to
for.
know. I'm just kidding.
Anyways. Oh, Dolly Parton. That's a good example. Mother Teresa. Is she? This is just what the top results say for type 2s. Sorry. I guess we should.
Well, that might give a good start to what a 2 looks like because, well, first of all, 2s are kind of like the societally stereotypical mom. Like if you think about what society likes, she's like, I gotta get out of this town.
Don't belong here.
I don't belong here. I was just listening to a podcast this morning by your Enneagram coach. And they were interviewing moms, and they were talking about this because one of them was an 8, and she was like talking about how growing up, especially like in the church and everything, as a young mom, she was trying so hard to fit into like being a 2 because that's what everyone kind of expected of her. There's like you kind of are nurturing and just like giving, kind of other focused.
Yeah, and type 8s are challengers, so they're very outspoken and like strong and strong-willed, and so they're not. Yeah, it's not like the ideal image of what a woman should be.
Yes.
And
being a type 8 woman is a particular type of challenge. Okay, type 2. So the core motivation of a type 2 is to feel loved, needed, and emotionally connected. Their basic fear is being unwanted, unlovable, rejected, or emotionally abandoned. Their basic desire is to feel appreciated, loved, and valued. And as a parent, I think that their strengths can be obviously nurturing and very affectionate, like outwardly affectionate. They can be very emotionally attuned to people, like kids, but anyone. I feel like when you're around a 2, you just feel like they are like really paying attention to you. Like you just feel seen and loved.
Yeah, every time I'm around a 2, they're always asking questions about me and how I'm doing, and really good at just like relating to you.
Yeah.
And being friendly. I love 2s. I love every type.
Yes. They are very warm and like focus on connection with other people. Like, that is a huge thing for them.
They love being around people and like people that they love.
Yes. Yeah. You don't even have to love being around people. They just like feeling connected to people.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Enjoying that. Yeah.
They're also very intuitive. Every time I'm around a 2, I'm like, I feel like they're just reading everyone's minds.
Yeah.
Because someone will just look slightly off and they'll be like, oh, do you need something? Are you hungry? And they're like, yeah, actually I didn't eat today. It's like, how'd you know that? Just like little things like that I've noticed.
They are very intuitive, and that's because they're so attuned to other people, which leads to one of the downsides of a 2 is like they kind of neglect themselves sometimes, or they feel maybe like really uncomfortable just like being in their own self or nurturing themselves, because that might feel selfish to them. That just feels uncomfortable sometimes. And something that I hear a lot about 2s is like how it's really important for them to spend time alone, which is interesting because when you're like around other people and they're like so attuned to other people, like they don't think about themselves in those moments. So it's like really important to get to know yourself as a 2 and be like, what are my needs?
Yeah.
What do I need? What do I want? Instead of what does this other person need and want? Especially as a parent. That's literally your role, is to like be responsible for someone. And it's like, you have to be able to separate that sometimes. And the person in the interview I was just listening to, that's a 2, was talking about like how hard that was for her when all her kids left the nest. Because she was like, that was her whole identity, is just like her kids and like nurturing them. And she didn't know who she was anymore after that, which is why it's important as a 2, but especially as a parent too, to like continue to nurture your stuff, like who you are, and not just your kids. Because first of all, they're going to see that and learn like that's important, that you pay attention to your own needs too. So their pitfalls and challenge areas: they might self-sacrifice to the point of depletion. They might have difficulty asking for help. They might start feeling resentment from overgiving. Like if you're caring for someone a lot, you might start feeling like resentful towards that person. Just like a 1 you were saying, like I think it was the 1 wing 2.
Yeah.
Can kind of do that, obviously, because they have a 2 in their wing, but they can just feel like that's the right thing to do, is to like give and to be attuned to other people. But then that can start building resentment, because then they feel like other people aren't doing that as much as themselves. And you know what's interesting? I can tell when I have a 2 client. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but I start like thinking, are you a 2? Because they always say the same thing. They're like, I do so much, and like I feel like no one pays attention to me, or no one
so
gives me like what I am like. So something that I work with them on is like, not everyone sees it that way. Like everyone has different ways of giving love and attention. And just because your way is,
once again, back to the subconscious things where it's important to know what everyone else's views are.
Yeah.
Is not just yours. Could be different than your partner's or your friends.
Yes. Like your idea of connection and friendship and love or whatever is like maybe reaching out a lot or doing favors for somebody, and someone else's might just be like, we spend time every now and then and I enjoy that. Like it doesn't have to be a constant, that's not every 2, but I'm just thinking of an example. You have to like learning that other people show their love and affection, and maybe not as much of an outward way as a 2 might.
Yeah. And the motivation for 2s to be kind is pride, because they want to feel appreciated and respected. So we forgot to mention vices and virtues, and I completely forgot about this.
No.
And the type 1 vice is anger, and their virtue is serenity. So they move from anger to serenity. For type 2s, their vice is pride, and their virtue is humility. So that means understanding what you're doing something, what are you getting out of the thing you're doing? Are you doing it just because you want to feel prideful and proud of yourself, or are you doing it because you actually
want the
really
other people
care
person
about
to
this person?
admire you?
Yeah, I do think that that's okay to want to be admired, but
Yes,
I think if you're only doing all these things and then expecting people to do things back
that's
for
where
you,
the resentment comes in.
Yeah.
So another thing to work on with, well, first of all, that is a very unconscious thing for most.
Yeah.
Like you're not thinking
doing
like,
this,
I'm
like-
not doing this to get something out. Like,
Yeah.
if you ask a 2, are you doing that to get something out of it? Like they're definitely gonna say no. Like they don't think they're doing that, but the fact that that can build resentment, and then they start feeling like other people should be treating them that same way. It is the vice can be pride, because that's how a lot of 2s feel their own worth too, is through helping other people, which if you think about it can be a prideful thing, because you are worthy just because you're you, not because
and
you're
you're not
helping
so
other people.
focused on other people. You can focus on yourself when you're not trying to do things for the gratification of
Yes. So
of
some
other
other
people praising you or whatever.
Yep. So some other challenge areas: they might lose identity in caregiving, over-involvement or over-functioning, unconsciously needing to feel needed. If they don't feel needed, sometimes they're like, who am I? Nobody needs me. I'm like, that can be a crisis for a lot of 2s. And they might have a lot of guilt around prioritizing themselves, as we talked about. And as a parent, we kind of talked about this already, but I think that's just a really big thing for them, is over identifying with that, and that being your whole life versus like having your own things, being your own person. And it's fine if you do identify with being a parent. Like I feel like that's an amazing, powerful role, and it can be your identity, but what happens when that's not what you're doing anymore, or when your kids leave, or what does that mean for you? So I think it's important to stay in touch with yourself, and also what happens with resentment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They might also have difficulty asking for help if they're overwhelmed. And they might feel bad or selfish to ask a family member or friend to come help them out. They may feel guilty around their needs, which is maybe why it's easier for them to attune and address other people's needs than their own, because they feel so much guilt and like they feel like it's selfish.
Which
to
causes
do
them
that.
to burn out.
So in stress, 2s go to type 8s, the low side of an 8. So they might become reactive, angry, controlling, or explosive after overgiving too long. And I think that something that can happen with 2s is like it feels like it's coming out of nowhere. Like you're just like...
Yeah, you don't know that you're feeling that way until you're yelling.
Yeah, because they don't want to burden other people. They don't want to like make other people feel bad.
There's only
so
so
they just
much you can...
keep it in.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to a point where it's too much, they might explode, and the other person might be like, where is this coming from? So that can be when they're in stress. I do everything around here. Might be a thing they say. In growth, they go to type 4. So the healthy side of a 4. So they might be really emotionally honest, very self-aware, connected to identity and desires, and more authentic. So you were saying earlier, 1s going to 4s in stress can be self-involved. 2s going to 4s in growth can be self-involved in a good way. Like you are
because sometimes
aware
you
of
need
yourself
to
and your needs. Like 4s
be
are very
that way.
attuned to their own emotions. So like 2s need that more to be like, what do I want? What do I need? So in growth, they do that. Their wings, so you can be a 2-wing 1, the servant, or 2-wing 3, the host or hostess. So 2-wing 1 might come off as more responsible, perfectionistic, and their caregiving might be tied to morality, like this is the right thing to do kind of thing. So they might present as more like put together in a way, like not put together, but like responsible. Like this is like
They get stuff done.
they get stuff done.
And I feel
doing
like
things productive.
2-wing 1s they're really leaders because they're really in tune with your emotions. Like they know what the people need, but they
Yes,
also
they
are
are.
focused on like doing things right and making sure everything is good. And
Yeah, that's so true. 2-wing 1s could like people really admire them in leadership positions, I think, because they do think about like what other people, they're attuned to the needs of people under them, but they also are very like orderly.
Yeah.
And can like get down to business when they need to get down to business. 2-wing 3, they're more image conscious when it comes to like caregiving and things like that. Like they do it more maybe for like they want to look. This sounds bad, but it's not a bad thing. Everything's neutral. It's not a bad thing.
everything's neutral.
They're more doing it because it looks good. Like they want to look good to other people. They want people to think they're a good person. And I think 2-wing 1s might do it more from the motivation of like, this is the good thing to do.
The right,
Or
thing, to do.
out of like
Yeah.
justice.
And 2-wing 3s is like, I want to do it this way because I'll look better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2-wing 3s can also be, well, we were saying 2-wing 1s get things done, but 2-wing 3s will really be getting stuff done because 3s are like very high achieving as well. So they might be like very, like they're the ones that are like volunteering for everything and doing all that.
So this is explaining why I think 2s always seem to be doing stuff, getting stuff done because they're a wing 1.
They both kind of
I really do
are
feel like
doers.
2s do so much.
Yeah.
They'd be like baking stuff for a bake sale, and then they're like running a company, and then they're like running back and forth.
I love
God.
2s. Every 2 I've
Me
met, I'm just like,
too. I love them.
I think
I
2s
love
and
all
4s
types, but-
get along really well too. They're just,
Yeah, we magnetize towards each other.
yeah, 2s are the best. Well, not the best ever.
I'm not allowed to have an opinion.
No,
Okay.
I don't have an opinion on that. I just really like 2s. Okay. So their healing and growth path is to learn and embody that receiving is not a selfish thing, to learn to receive and to accept love and to accept help. And love is not earned through exhaustion. I think a lot of 2s maybe fall into that trap of like, I have to do things for you to love me. When people I just love you for you. You don't have to do things to earn my love. Like, I just
be
love you for you.
Yeah.
I think they can very easily fall into that. They feel like they have to like help other people, like a transactional thing almost. It feels like it's like I'm helping you. So anyway, we love you for you, 2s.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't gotta do a bunch of stuff to earn that. Their needs matter. Learn that your needs matter before you explode and collapse. That's another path to healing.
Start tuning into what you need early before you explode.
I like that you gave the homework assignment of like play for ones. I think for twos, the homework assignment would be to like spend some time on your own doing something that you really love.
Do a creative
need.
hobby.
Yes.
That would be a good thing for twos to do.
Exactly.
That you like to do.
Mm-hmm. And something just because you love it, and doing something that you need, like taking a bath and telling your friend or partner or whatever to watch your kids or take care of something while you just get a bath.
And use a bath bomb.
Yeah,
have
go
some
extra.
wine while you're at it.
Light some candles. Like, don't just get a bath. Make it a thing. So here's your reflection question to end on twos. Who are you when nobody needs something from you? How would you be, and how would you feel?
Think about
yourself?
this. If you had an opportunity to just live on your own for a week in like an apartment or hotel room, what would you do? And what kind of person would you be?
Nobody else. You're not hanging out with anybody. You're not doing things for anybody. What would you be doing?
What would you be doing? What would your personality be like? Mm-hmm. Discover yourself. Okay. Type 3, the achiever. Their core motivation is to feel valuable, successful, admired, and worthwhile. Their basic fear is failure, worthlessness, being seen as incapable or unsuccessful. And their basic desire is to feel valuable, competent, and accomplished. What are some famous type 3s?
We have Taylor Swift, Oprah Winfrey, Tom Cruise, Tony Robbins, Beyonce, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lots of pretty powerful people here. Gaston. That's funny. They said Belle in the last one.
Oh,
Gaston.
So as a parent, threes thrive on success. I always think of threes as very like, not fiery, but they just like are like really driven.
Yeah, they're very
driven to create things and to be successful. So as a parent, their strengths are they're capable and resilient. They are motivating and encouraging. They are efficient and proactive. They create opportunities and experiences for their family. They're often highly dedicated providers. So they're usually really focused on making money and providing. They're adaptable under pressure. So threes make great parents. I think a lot of threes don't like being threes because they're very success driven and they kind of put on what we call the mask. They mask who they are through, just from my experience of talking to threes and just learning about threes.
Typology.
Yeah. They do not like feelings. They feel very exposed when they have strong feelings.
Yeah, I think that I remember hearing, I think it was probably in typology, like threes are the type that feel the most ashamed about their type.
Yeah.
The way that it's described, it's like, yeah, you thrive after success, and it can sound.
It looks like this. They're thinking about this businessman that like doesn't care about anyone, and they just
But a lot of them don't like that image. I don't think, but and the motivation is. I mean, it's not a negative thing.
It's not. They're very capable. They're very good at getting stuff done.
Yeah, I need to borrow some of this. I wish I could borrow some of the three.
I mean, we do have a 3 wing, so it's
that's true. We could slide over and borrow a little bit of the 3.
just gonna slide over there. Come on, 3, get this done. So some of their vice and virtue. Let's talk about that. Deceit to veracity. Is that the right way to say that? Veracity?
Veracity?
It's habitual truthfulness and authenticity. They are, so one of their biggest pitfalls is that they... Veracity. Okay, I kind of said that right. They deceive people, I guess.
Yeah.
They're very persuasive. And I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. Because
they're like, think about us like the strengths of a salesperson.
Yeah.
Like you can just like understand what people want to hear and say it, which is an amazing strength, but can also, as you can imagine, be used for evil. They're
really good at
anything.
But also strength. I think it's more about they deceive themselves who they really are. They're trying to believe that they're only the image that they show other people. And so they also, like twos, I guess, don't really know who they really are, not in the context of, without the context of what other people are thinking about them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have self-deceit.
Yes, that is a good way to put it.
so
Their
they
sense
put-
of worth depends on how other people see them, and their sense of identity depends on how they present to other people.
Yeah,
So much so that if they're a non-healthy 3, I feel like they can merge with the mask they have.
exactly. And
don't
then
know
they
who
don't
they
even
really
know
are.
a lot of them that are unhealthy or haven't done like any of this type of work feel like they don't even know that they're doing that. They're just wearing a mask that they think is their face. But I think that 3s put a lot more effort into making sure that their mask looks good instead of just being themselves.
Yeah.
So that is a downfall that 3s have. As a parent, they have a lot of issues with comparison and image pressure. They're very image focused and image conscious, which they can kind of portray that to their kids. If they're unhealthy, they can put that on their kids to achieve and
also that their kids reflect who they are as a person.
yeah.
That's if they're image conscious about the family too.
Yes. So they also tie their self-worth to performance. They feel that people only love them for what they can do or what they can achieve. They feel like being a parent must be done well. Hello.
No.
Cat on my lap. Okay.
This is her. Every time she's in here and I'm in a session, this is literally her.
They struggle with parenting when it feels messy or uncontrollable. Sounds like something a 1 might have issues with too. They burn out easily because they're always doing, not easily, they have a tendency to burn out because they do so much. I always think about authors when I think about, I don't know why. I think because I listen to typology so much, a lot of the authors he interviews are 3s and I don't know, or a lot of successful business people, I guess, are 3s.
His face, no, he's a 7. Never mind. I was thinking, Bob Goff. I was thinking of 7. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
I can't think of any right now. I just remember a lot of 3s.
It was Donald Scary Close.
Donald Miller.
That's who it was. He wrote Scary Close, which I love that book.
That's a good book.
He's a 3. Anyway, I don't know why.
And he
I just
also
remembered that.
he's a very renowned marketing expert. He's a very healthy 3, I think. Being a parent for 3s activates certain things because there's no optimization. There's no finish line. There's no gold star. There's no measurable success. They have hard times with those types of things. So they're like, what do I do? That can be stressful for them. And they have all this pressure to excel, comparison, productivity as an identity, and fear of appearing like they're failing.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not even failing, but they have a fear of that other people are going to think that. So they focus on that. So especially during, I would imagine, their identity is really challenged around capability and success when they have a child, because during postpartum or burnout or illness or overwhelming, you can't really do anything and you're kind of just...
Yeah, and if your whole image or identity is doing
feel
things,
very dysregulating.
Yeah,
and difficult for 3s.
Feel like the ground is just falling out from under you because you're like, who am I?
You probably have all these systems and optimizations and plans for your life as a 3, and when something dismantles that, it can feel very disorienting and kind of like, what do I do? It reminds me of the Tower card in the tarot deck.
Oh.
Just like,
yeah.
Things are destroyed for me. Everything I know is just gone. Like, what do I do now? And then you come out better from that.
I think that's a lot of growth points for 3s, just like listening to 3s and podcasts and whatever, is when they have a situation happen that they can't achieve something, or they like parenting thing, or if you can't do something, like you get really sick and you can't achieve anymore, or you like get injured and you can't do your sport
that is
anymore.
A lot of...
It's like you learn, there's a lot of growth in that for 3s, because you learn like your identity doesn't have to be around that. You figure out who you really are underneath the achieving, the things that you do versus who you are.
Yes, they do. They focus more on their image of things they can accomplish, how they look to others, rather than who they really are. So in stress, which can happen when things are dismantled, they go to the low side of type 9, which they become numb, they shut down, they're disengaged, they're exhausted, and they don't have any motivation. So in growth, they go to the high side of type 6. They become more collaborative and grounded and loyal, community-oriented, and less performative. Threes are a very strong type, I feel like. What triad are they in?
They have a presence.
Yes.
To them.
They do have a presence. What is the triad? Oh, they're in the heart center, shame, image triad. Mm-hmm. Because they're very image focused.
Just like a 2 and a 4 are both image focused and shame.
What's so interesting about these triads is so a type 2 will externalize their shame by seeking validation. Type 4s internalizes their shame and they focus more on their sense of being defective or missing something. And type 3 represses their shame. So they might not even know that it's there, but they channel it into kind of like doing to run away from the feeling of being inadequate.
Yeah.
So they kind of avoid it.
That's interesting. So 3s are almost like the type that has the hardest time, I think, facing themselves, which is probably why it's the hardest for them to figure out their type.
Yeah.
Or the hardest for them to read about their type, because the most uncomfortable to read about their type.
Yeah, because they don't
feels very exposed.
That's true. I just remember a 3 that I knew in college. I think about this a lot when I talk about 3s. Is anytime we would start talking about emotions, she would just be like, nope, I don't like this. I don't like this. She would leave, or she would change the subject. It's like 3s just don't like to face those.
Yeah.
Unhealthy 3s don't like to face those things. So the wings for 3s, you can be a 3-wing 2, which is the charmer, or a 3-wing 4, which is the professional. 3s are very charming. They're really good at talking to people and just negotiating, but also making you feel like that you should be negotiating with them. Like they're really friendly.
I keep getting random things popping in my head from listening to typology. I haven't listened to typology in so long, but I used to listen to it all the time. But I keep remembering things, and I think one of them that he talked about 3s was like if you're in a room with a 3, they could read the room very easily. They can almost see what every person would want them to say and do.
Oh.
Which is what makes them so good at their mask. That also makes it hard for them to really know what they feel do, because they're also thinking about how is this person looking at
doing
me
it
or
because
seeing me.
They're thinking about it in the context of other people, not in the context of themselves.
But that also makes people feel very seen by them.
Yeah.
And comfortable sometimes, because they feel like they can almost read very easily, get a read on people.
Yeah.
Easily.
People feel seen by them. So 3-wing 2 is the charmer. They're warm and social. They have super mom tendencies. They seem to be able to juggle so many things and get a lot of things done. And they're very externally polished. I think a lot of 3s just look good. They got style. They know how to dress themselves.
Their houses always look nice.
3-wing 4 is called the professional. They are more introspective and identity driven. They are emotionally deeper, and they're more likely to question motherhood roles.
I always think 3-wing 4 and 4-wing 3 is the most unique combination of wings, because 4s are so identity focused and self-focused, and 3s are so not in tune or not wanting to be in tune.
So I do feel there's probably a duality of feelings. I also think with 5-wing 4s and 4-wing 5s, because 5s also don't like to have feelings, or they are not connected to their feelings, and 4s are very feeling.
Yeah.
So that is that type also has a very. I know that I'm talking about Ian so much, but I'm just fangirl. He says that about those types too, where they're just. It seems those types struggle with feelings a lot, because there's this weird duality of not being connected and then being connected, not wanting to feel something, wanting to feel something. So anyways, 3-wing 4s. So yeah, they probably have that type of duality as well. So for healing and growth, just remember 3s, your worth exists outside of productivity. I know that it's really hard to do that, and it's hard to think in those terms, especially if you're just used to performing for, I don't know, your caregivers or your parents growing up, and that's how you received love, was just getting A's or doing well in sports. So what would you say to a 3 as a therapist how to overcome that feeling of I only am worth something if I'm productive. What would you say?
Well, I think that is a journey to get to a point where you learn that people don't just love you through what you produce. And I think a lot of it has to do with like the people that you're around and like just experiencing healthy attachment with somebody that just appreciates you for you, and also just sharing your true self with people and like being authentic helps you learn, I think, that people will accept me, that part of me, or people still love me even though I
challenge
took my mask off
yourself
for a
to
sec.
be vulnerable with somebody that you trust. I would
Yes.
say 2 or 3.
I think that's a really good homework for
That is
you.
homework.
I like how 1s and 2s got these fun ones where they're
And I was
like,
now be vulnerable and now do something
Now do
really
something you
scary
hate.
that you hate. Maybe we could think of a fun
true.
one for 3.
You could make that fun, right? But you think about it as like it's a very great opportunity to connect with people. People are drawn to.
If you have a
vulnerability.
4 friend,
They'll
do
love
that.
it. They'll
They
eat it
will.
up.
You will make their day. Just talk about your deepest fears. Okay. Presence matters more than performance. Remember that. And vulnerability is not incompetence. Vulnerability is strength. So your homework is to be vulnerable with somebody that you trust. And here's your reflection question. Who are you when you can no longer achieve your way into feeling enough?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Who are you when you can no longer achieve your way into feeling enough? What if you didn't? What if you had nothing you were working on and you were just present with your kids, present with your family?
Who are you underneath the actions that you take?
Who are you then?
Yeah.
You're not trying. Imagine you're not trying to impress anyone.
Even yourself. You're just.
What kind of things would you feel? What kind of things would you say? Reflect on that. Okay, your turn.
All right. So this is the last one we'll do in this episode. We'll do the rest in the next episode just because this is a lot. So the last one we'll do is type 4, the individualist. Type 4's core motivation is to understand themselves and create meaning and identity. Their basic fear is having no identity, significance, or personal meaning. Their basic desire is to find themselves and express authenticity. They're in the shame triad and the heart shame triad. So their unconscious emotion driving behavior is shame.
Yes, and type 4s internalize shame, as we talked about. So they focus on their self and their feeling of being defective in some way.
Yeah.
So some famous type 4s that the internet suspects: Kurt Cobain, David Bowie, Bjork, Lady Gaga, Johnny Depp,
Billie Eilish. I was just listening to Amy Poehler interviewing Billie Eilish, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, on her podcast?
Yeah. It just started playing. I don't know why, but I was like, I'm enjoying this. And now I like Billie Eilish.
Sylvia Plath. Moody folks.
So stereotype of type 4, I think, is like a tortured artist stereotype.
Wow. Living in Paris in a junky apartment.
So Moulin
trying
Rouge.
to make it in
Ewan McGregor and Moulin Rouge.
Yes. That is a very 4 movie.
That's why it's my favorite.
Stereotypically.
So strengths that 4s might have as a parent: they're emotionally deep and empathetic. They're creative and imaginative. They might be like really engaged in like imagination and play with their kids. They help children feel emotionally seen. They value authenticity and individuality. So they might leave room for their child to like be their authentic selves. They're sentimental and meaning oriented. And they're often deeply present in emotional moments. They don't like, I think a lot of 4s aren't the type to be like, stop crying, go to your room. Like they're more the type to be, how are you
Because that's not what they would want.
Exactly.
They want people to really ask them their deep questions and to explore their feelings with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think they want to do with their kids.
Yes. So a child with a 4 parent might feel very like emotionally seen and safe with a 4 parent in that way. Mm-hmm. Some challenge areas and pitfalls of a 4 as a parent might be they might compare themselves easily to other parents, because they're very fixated a lot on like something's missing in me. Like I don't have something that everyone else has. So I can see how that would show up in parenting of like, they're so good at this, or they have like all these tools or this stuff that I can't do, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They might get overwhelmed emotionally very easily. They tend towards melancholy or longing. They might feel misunderstood or unseen. They romanticize things. So maybe like other lives or seasons. So I think maybe you can speak to this because you're a 4 mom. Do you feel like that happens sometimes, like romanticizing your life before kids, or romanticizing like
Yeah.
like a nostalgia around it? Like
I do that all the time, and I actually have been trying this practice that I was doing this morning. Like, what would I be doing if I didn't have a kid right now? I'd probably just be sitting around like, wow,
Yes.
bad for me that I have to play with my kid instead of like, I don't
Woe
know.
is me,
I just have to
here I
like
am
snap
with-
myself out of it sometimes.
Yeah.
But
and I think
I
that's so-
definitely,
yeah.
I just remember, I think I read that someone else did this too when they first had their kid, which made me feel very validated and like I wasn't crazy. But I remember seeing pictures like a week or two after Romy was born of just me and Jacob like show up on our Echo show and feeling like this deep grief and sadness of like, I miss that. Like, why can't it be just the two of us? I think about that a lot. I don't feel like that anymore. But I do have times where I feel like I miss just doing what I want.
That does speak to a larger pattern with 4s. They like tend to like dwell on like nostalgia a lot. And a lot of the times things are built up in their mind from the past.
Yeah, I do have
They
to remind
romanticize
myself
their
it wasn't
past.
really as great as I remember.
I'm sure it was great. It
was.
You know
but
that
not as great as I
Yeah.
remember.
Which also like maybe that ties into comparison too, because they do compare not with other people only, but also just like what their life used to be or how things could be or how things were instead of being present
Yeah.
right now with. And I think, okay, we'll get to this. I have things to say about that, but so that's a challenge area. Difficulty staying grounded in ordinary routines is a challenge area, and identity loss during matrescence, because they're very focused on like identity and figuring out who they are. That might be kind of challenging
And
during
then when you have
such
a
a
kid,
big.
you're like, wait, I worked so hard to build this identity for myself, and now it's completely different, feels like.
This is what I'm worried about when I have a kid. Difficulty staying grounded in ordinary routines. I feel like 4s, I think because your second type is a 1, mine is a 9. I hate structure. I hate routines. And I feel like it's very hard for me.
You're going to love the
To-
newborn phase.
I just feel like it's very hard for me to like stay consistent. But I think a lot of
Yeah.
that with 4s is 4s like things to be they like everything to be very new and exciting and like romantic.
Yeah.
And part of the work with a 4 is romanticize your everyday life and just like be
Yep.
okay with ordinary things. Like not everything has to be dramatic. Not everything has to be so happy or so hard.
I was just thinking today, I was like, we're going to go to Disney today? To Jacob, I was like, I need to do something different. I need to get out of the house. And every day I'm like thinking that after Romy's nap, what are we going to do? Are we going to go to
This
Disney?
has to be like the best
Are
day
we going to
ever.
go to Target? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
But then I do have to practice just enjoying our beautiful home.
Exactly. Yeah. Equanimity is the
Yes.
virtue of a 4.
Oh, I forgot to read
Oh.
the vice and virtue of the 4 because I have
The
that up.
vice is envy, right?
Yep. Virtue to equanimity.
Can you talk about that? Envy to equanimity. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think so. 4s feel like they are flawed in some way. So they definitely see people have what they have. They get envious of it. It's not like just being jealous of someone. It's more like seeing qualities in other people that they feel like they need or that they should have. So they often don't see all of the blessings in front of them. So a good practice for 4s is gratitude. That has helped me a lot, just thinking about a moment I feel grateful for things and just dwelling on that. So through that work, you can, as a 4, move towards emotional stability and just calmness, equanimity, and be more balanced in how you view yourselves.
Something I've done a lot of work on is to like, you don't have to feel super happy or super sad. It's
Yeah,
okay
there
to
is
just be like neutral
Yeah.
sometimes.
You know what's funny is that my husband is a 9 and he tends to numb out So he always feels like in the middle, and I'm never in the middle. So he's
You're
definitely
like,
grounding for me.
Can you be sad or angry?
Be sad with me. Be angry for me that I stepped on this Lego. I'm just sitting there.
Yes. And 4s they appreciate validation over.
Yes, words of affirmation.
Because
is
they're
my love language.
Another strength of a 4 is that they're very okay sitting in uncomfortable emotions. And
which is why you're such a great therapist.
That's part of what I like about my job. Sometimes people are like, this is like really weird to share. I'm like, please share all the weirdest things that you've ever thought about.
I would love to hear it.
I want to know everything. But so I think that can be really, because if you think about a 3 or a 1, it's like they can easily identify like a child tantrum or a child being sad with like a failure. But I feel like 4s can be good at being like just sitting in that with them and like recognizing it as just part of being a human.
Yep.
Because they value authenticity, it's like that also means they value every emotion. Like no emotion is off limits for a 4. A tarot card I was thinking about with a 4 is the 5 of Cups.
I was thinking about that too. We should give a tarot card to each type.
We should. That should have been something we did. They're looking at what's missing instead of like all the cups that are full behind them. They're just looking at the spilled cup. So 4s need to work on a lot of the time appreciating and being grateful for what they do have. What motherhood and parenting, becoming a parent, can activate for 4 is feeling it can be very spiritually and emotionally profound because they reflect a lot on things. So I feel like that can be, if you're changing so much and like so much is happening, like you can just, and I think you said this in another episode that you feel like this is like a spiritual journey for you. And you asked that to your husband and he was like, no.
Like, do you feel like this is like changing you in a profound way? Not really. Just live my life.
Yeah. So that can be like a positive and a challenge. Is that it's such a big thing. It can also trigger.
Sorry, I was just going to talk about this part.
Oh, right. It can also trigger grief over lost identity. Because they're identity focused, that can be very much of a challenge. Longing for freedom, melancholy, comparison, and feeling misunderstood. Because it does threaten their individuality and emotional freedom.
Yeah.
That can be a challenge. So in stress, 4s go to the low side of a type 2, which the low side of type 2 needs they have a lot of emotional needs. They get a little bit needy emotionally. They seek a lot of validation and they get consumed by feeling unseen or like misunderstood, or they feel like no one understands what I'm going through or nobody gets.
That is a hard hole to dig yourself out of when you get there in that spot. You're just like, consumed by it. Mm-hmm. And then you just tell yourself all these negative things. And then it's very hard to be grateful and to gratitude your way out of there.
4s can spiral easily because they are so comfortable in negative emotions. It can go too far sometimes. And
like sometimes melancholy feels nice for them to just like feel something.
Yeah, but then that can easily be a door to depression or feeling like very negative thoughts about yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's the low side of a 2. In growth, 4s go to type 1, like we were talking about. The high side of type 1 is they're very grounded, disciplined, stable. They're able to create structure, but not lose like the depth that they already have.
Yeah.
So they can be more consistent. And I think 4s struggle a lot with consistency because they go by their feelings a lot. Like if you feel like doing something, it's more motivating. It's hard for them to be motivated when they're not feeling. They let their feelings guide them a lot of the time.
Yep. And they over-identify with their feelings as an unhealthy.
Yes.
If you're an unhealthy 4.
So with 1s, it's very much about you can just do things. Like you're creating a system.
You kind of disconnect from. They're neutral. Feelings are neutral. You can kind of disconnect from your feelings a little more in a positive way, so you can become more disciplined and have a consistency.
Yes, consistency is a sign of growth in a 4. Mm-hmm. Wings. So you can be a 4-wing 3, the Aristocat. Aristocats. I think we're thinking about cats here.
The little bean is on my lap.
The Aristocrat or the Bohemian.
It's going to Disney 5. Too much.
Maybe that's why we like Disney, because we're 4s and we're like, this is like a magical something different. During my day,
it's just something fun to do.
Yeah. Anyway,
4-wing 5 is the Bohemian.
Yes. So 4-wing 3, the Aristocrat, is more expressive. They're more outward. I think of like artistic, image aware. and prone to comparison. 4 wing 5 is more inward, the bohemian. They might be more introspective, withdrawn, cerebral, poetic, and have a very intense internal world.
So I don't want to say extrovert, introvert, but that's what I'm thinking of. Like 4 wing 3 is more extroverted and 4 wing 5 is more introverted. Would you agree?
Yes, I think that.
What is your wing?
A 5?
Same. We're the same person. Are we twins or something?
That's crazy. Another thing that's important to note about 4s and 6s, or they have like very different, there's 2 very distinct subgroups, or 3.
There's 3, but there's one that there's social, sexual, and self-preservation for each type. All the types have these 3 subgroups. I don't remember what they're called. But for 4s and 6s, there's one subtype, that's what it's called.
Yes.
That does not look like a 4 and does not look like a 6. They're like very different, but they're still that type.
So a subtype.
So we could talk about that for 4s and 6s.
Yeah. So the subtype for 4 that does not look like a 4 is self-preservation 4. And that means that they're not as like emotionally expressive. They're not like so, has a negative connotation to this word, but I don't want it to be I don't mean it negative, dramatic. Like they don't appear as dramatic. Maybe it's the other types of 4.
Oh, counter type. That's what it's called.
Okay.
The self-preservation 4 is a counter type to a 4.
Yes.
Oh.
And that's what we are.
Yeah, we're still the same.
Also often referred to as the sunny 4 because they might appear like less moody and like more
yeah,
like happy.
They kind of like internalize their feelings more than
their
more
feelings
than the other
go
4s.
For each subtype. The feelings are directed somewhere else, if I'm remembering right. Like there's one where like it's directed at other people. Like your feelings are directed at others. Self-preservation 4s, they direct it at themselves. And then I forget what the other one does.
Self-preservation is themselves. Sexual is one-on-one. It's sometimes called one-on-one.
And
or
social is like groups.
Social is groups.
I don't know.
Focus.
You can read more about that. It's been a while, and I feel like
there's so much depth. But
there's a lot to it.
Yeah, self-preservation 4, this is funny. It says they like to test themselves by putting themselves in tough situations, which I feel like I do that just unconsciously. I'm like, why am I making this so hard for myself? I think I'm just subconsciously feeling like I could do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
Yes,
that's funny.
I can see that. And the path for healing or growth for a 4 is to make ordinary moments meaningful. Notice that ordinary moments also contain meaning. It doesn't have to be crazy and you don't have to be going to Disney every day. You can be sitting eating soup and it'll be a meaningful moment. Identity.
That was always a meaningful moment to me.
Soup. Identity also evolves rather than disappears. So you're not ever like losing your identity, I guess, in a way. It's evolving. And grounding matters just as much as depth. So it's important to be grounded, not always up in the clouds and woo-woo.
Yeah.
Woohoo. So your homework as a 4, I think the one that keeps standing out to me is like ordinary moments, like being okay with things being ordinary, you know what I just told a client the other day, because we were actually talking about this and I was like, are you a 4? I was thinking about it. But so there's this technique in acceptance and commitment therapy.
I don't think there's one episode we haven't talked about acceptance commitment therapy.
It always comes back to that. It's called,
we almost made it out.
It's called flavor and savor. It's supposed to be
I
around
like
values, but I was using it in this context
Flavor
because I
and
like
savor.
it. It's like when you're in a moment, you know how we ruminate, humans do that with negative things? Like you can do that with a positive thing. Really notice the moment and what you're enjoying about it. Like you romanticize it like an ordinary moment.
I have been practicing this too because I was watching Next Level Soul and some lady on there was talking about every time you were in a happy moment, just like practice flexing the muscle of just like being fully present and like expanding that feeling of happiness and joy. And that has been fun.
That's
kind of hard because it's like literally it feels like you're working out a muscle because it's like kind of hard to do.
Yeah, because our brains naturally have a negativity bias.
So there's your homework.
That's how you can work on getting the positivity bias, is to focus and blow up the ordinary moments and make them magical.
And gratitude journals are always good.
And gratitude is great for 4s too. Noticing like things that you're little things, not like I keep bringing up Disney. I'm going to Disney, but like this coffee is really good. Like just romanticizing and appreciating small things.
Reflection question for the 4: can you let yourself belong to your real life right now instead of grieving an imagined one?
So what would it look like to be fully present in this life? And don't think about any what ifs. What if this was different? What if things were like they were before? Just think about this is how it is now. And what does that feel like? And how can you really appreciate where you're at? All right. I need to go to the doctor. I need to leave in 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So we'll wrap up and we'll do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in our next episode. Check out our Etsy store. Link below. Check out the Substack where we post articles monthly and weekly.
Yep, we post articles that go along with each podcast episode that goes a little more into depth of the topic. And then monthly, we have just reflections. We put all of our stuff in there, just songs we like, books we're reading, what new products we have.
Connected with us.
Our latest,
we're doing.
Yeah, latest. So if you want to stay connected, there's also a little community on there that we are trying to start up.
And check out our Instagram and TikTok. Yep, all linked below. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I will see you next week for part 2. Bye.